Hello and welcome. I'm Jon Garlick, and I'm here with Lieutenant Falon Hurst, and this is Calhoun County's Most Wanted. Falon,
John,
it's good to see you again.
it's always a pleasure.
You know, we've had Ronnie on for the last 2 weeks, so it's good to get a little change up here.
Yeah, I've traded my times to him, so it's my turn.
So let's take a look at the citizens' turn to help law enforcement. Tell us what we got there.
It looks like since last time we've gotten 3 new arrests, bringing our total up to 5,017, thanks to the viewers.
5,017 people arrested since this show started some 20 years ago. Probably a little more than that, I'm not sure. But we need the citizens' help to bring justice to the county and make it a safer place to live. And speaking of citizen involvement, we've got something coming up in 2 weeks we need everybody to know about.
The runoff election.
The runoff election.
Yep, for everybody's opportunity to select several of their candidates that are called in runoffs, the U.S. Senator and their state senator.
Excellent. So 2 weeks from Tuesday. This is a Tuesday, 21st, right?
June 21st.
June 21st, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Runoff elections. Please go vote. It's your civic duty, obligation, and a chance to make your voice heard. So we appreciate that, and we want you to stay tuned for the first half of our lineup, and we're going to have a really fun guest with us here. So stay with us here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. And welcome to this week's edition of Calhoun County's Most Wanted. First up on our lineup this week, Stephen Gibbs. Mr. Gibbs, last known to be living in East Teboga. He's wanted for failure to appear for assault first. And this is Curtis Dover. Mr. Dover, last known to be living in Piedmont. He's wanted for failure to appear on possession of a controlled substance. And take a look at Christopher House. Mr. House, last known to be living in Jacksonville. He's wanted for failure to appear on possession of a controlled substance and use and possession of drug paraphernalia. And this is Amy Dickerson. Miss Dickerson, last known to be living in Heflin. She's wanted for failure to appear on possession of a controlled substance, possession of marijuana second, and use and possession of drug paraphernalia. And have a look at Brittany Patton. Miss Patton, last known to be living in Asheville. She's wanted for probation violation for possession of a controlled substance. This is Eric White. Mr. White, last known to be living in Oxford. He's wanted for failure to appear on destruction of state property by an inmate. And this is Dennis Dewberry. Mr. Dewberry, last known to be living in Odenville. He's wanted on a probation violation for receiving stolen property first and possession of marijuana first. And that's it for the first half of our lineup. Stay tuned for the second half later in the show. Welcome back. We hope you saw somebody in that half of the lineup that you might know where they are. And if you do, call that Crime Stoppers number, call the sheriff's office, ask to speak to Lieutenant Falon Hurst. You call, he hauls. We're here with my old friend Pete Conroy from JSU, one of his many titles, director of the, what is it?
Little River Canyon Center.
You're director of like many things.
Well, it's arguably my favorite thing.
Arguably, after the Frog Pond, which unfortunately is no longer froggy.
Oh, it's froggy, but it's just not human health, friendly.
It was one of my favorite places, the Frog Pond.
It is a beautiful place.
It was a good first date place back then. You know, a bottle of wine, sit on the deck, listen to the frogs.
Is that too much information, Jonathan?
I think we're getting off topic.
I don't know. I think nature and Chase might appreciate that if he's listening.
And if for anyone cares, the Frog Pond is a lovely little spot in Chocolaca Valley off Highway 9, and it had been developed by the Alabama Forestry Commission as a place for solitude, nature observation, but I have to say that time has gotten the worst of it, and there are no longer safe access to the Frog Pond. Now, the frogs don't read, so they're safe.
The frogs are there. But do you have frogs up in Little River?
Yes, we do. Thanks. That was
a
weird
nice
transition,
yeah,
but we'll take it. Yeah. Little River Canyon, I think folks may know, is Alabama's largest national park, and we're super excited because people keep discovering it, which creates challenges in and of itself. But we had around 900,000 visitors last year.
Wow.
And now arguably there's this economic impact of the $20 million to $30 million range, which is hard to wrap your mind around, but each individual, comes and they'll buy gasoline and food and the other stuff that you might buy when you're traveling. And it adds up. And so that national park is so successful. We are, helping to develop the Freedom Riders National Monument right downtown on Gurnee and out there on Highway 202, Birmingham Highway. Little River has been kind of a model for the Freedom Riders project, and economic development certainly follows. But the thing that we're excited about up at Little River right now is this is the Bluegrass on the Rim weekend. And what I'm even more excited about is on my phone this morning, it was 50% chance of thunderstorms. And today it looks like it's going to be beautiful weather on Saturday night, June 11th for the show. Gates open at 6, and it's going to be in the 50s that night. I mean, it's like, what's better to be listening to live music under the stars, sweater weather in Alabama, and we have Foggy Hollow, Valley Road, and Three on a String. And that's really one of Alabama's most well-known old bluegrass bands. They had their 50th anniversary last year, and so they've been around a while.
That's really wonderful that you're doing that. Remember when Anniston had the music under the stars at McClellan?
Music at McClellan,
Music
yeah.
at McClellan. That was a beautiful thing to be outside. So I'm glad you guys are doing that. And that's this Saturday.
Yeah, right. June 11th.
June 11th. That's this Saturday.
And we have local barbecue brought in, and kids will be throwing frisbee out on the lawn. I think there's ices coming, but it's just a wonderful family-style experience. You can go to Canyon Concerts online, or just Google JSU Canyon Center, Canyon Bluegrass. You could Google it a million different ways to get the buy tickets.
And how much are the tickets?
I think they're $20, $30 range. I think it's $30 on the day of. I think it's $25 in advance. But I prefer to thank you. I forgot exactly what the prices are.
So, how many people are you expecting for this?
Last year we had 200.
200,
and,
okay.
And I think it's a little prettier and less COVID-y this year.
Yes.
And so we hope maybe a little bit more than that. But it's a great opportunity just to chill out with the family and kind of go back into time a little bit.
Is there a capacity? Could you have 1,000?
We'd cut it off at 500.
Okay.
And but have you been up there to the auditorium? I mean, the outdoor
I haven't been
amphitheater.
up there for a number of years. I don't think there was an auditorium and an amphitheater up there the last time I was there.
Yeah, it was. The building was done in 2007, and then the amphitheater came around, I think, 5 or 6 years after that. So I think this is like our 7th, 8th, 9th show.
Wow.
And it's just become a wonderful tradition, and I love it when you don't have straight line winds and thunderstorms.
Yes, that's always a positive thing. Well, and it's right there, kind of easy to get to, right? And it's
Highway 35,
Yeah.
from Jacksonville, it's a solid hour. From the studio here, it'd be an hour and a half, I'm guessing.
and close to people in Tennessee if they wanted to come down and listen to some good bluegrass.
We got Chattanooga, Birmingham, Atlanta. It's all kind of in the middle. And one of the exciting things we've been talking about is building a significant hotel up there adjacent to the Canyon Center, which is something that the county and the city and the state have been excited with us. And so we are exploring a lot of different opportunities with regards to that right now.
Well, that would be a tremendous impact.
It would be a tremendous impact because
Yeah.
you already have a baseline of those million visitors a year. And the idea is to provide service at a really high level of hospitality with a biological diversity kind of a foundation. So people, when they get up there, they kind of recognize they're surrounded by nature, and it's a place that should always be surrounded by
Well,
nature.
hopefully it will continue to be surrounded by nature, and people will go up there and visit this summer in spite of our spiking gas. But we'd like you to stay with us here, and for the second half of our lineup, here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. And welcome to the second half of our lineup. First up this half, Catherine Kirby. Miss Kirby, last known to be living in Wellington. She's wanted for failure to appear on possession of a controlled substance. And meet Corey Carter. Mr. Carter, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for a writ of arrest on possession of a controlled substance. Take a look at Brittany McAllen. Miss McAllen, last known to be living in Sylacauga. She's wanted for failure to appear on possession of a controlled substance. This is Lydell Garrett. Mr. Garrett, last known to be living in Talladega. He's wanted for failure to appear on burglary third. And have a look at James Williams. Mr. Williams, last known to be living in Wellington. He's wanted for failure to appear on burglary third. This is Corey Kennedy. Mr. Kennedy, last known to be living in Oxford. He's wanted for probation violation on possession of a controlled substance. And that's it for our lineup this week. If you have any information on these folks, and we hope you do, give Crime Stoppers a call. That number, 1-833-251-7867. Welcome back. We hope you saw somebody in that half of the lineup. Might know where they are. If you do, call the Sheriff's Office, call Crime Stoppers, call Falon Hurst. He's here with us. And my good friend Pete Conroy, who's director, among many things, director of the Little River Canyon that JSU has up there in the beautiful part of northern Alabama. Right?
It is a beautiful part of northern Alabama. It rained like mad this morning, and you can see the real-time data associated with water flow at the site of the Highway 35 bridge, that you can actually see the cubic feet per second go up on the graph. And it's cool. You can Google this too. It's USGS Blue Hole Gauge, Alabama.
Blue Hole Gauge.
Yeah, Blue Hole Gauge, and it's the real-time data in terms of how many cubic feet of water are passing by every second. And it's just so cool because it rains and you'll see that thing going down, down, down. Then the rain comes down, down to, ooh, it starts doing this. And it will literally, it can change by tens of thousands of cubic feet per second in a day.
Wow.
It's just, and then the fun thing too is that kayakers all over the southeast watch that gauge, and some even have alarms associated with the gauge. And they're at work and they see it starting to rain, and all of a sudden there's enough water, not for you, not for you, not for me ever, but for these professional type kayakers. They'll go over the waterfall.
Really?
And if there's enough water, and those gauges will tell them when there's enough water, they're like,
It's time to call in sick and take off.
call in sick, take off, and we'll have kayakers come up, and it's a magnificent thing to watch.
Sounds like a dangerous thing to be doing.
Unless you know what you're doing, it will kill you.
Yeah.
So,
So you have park rangers and stuff up there, right? You
Yeah.
have people that can rescue folks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And sadly, there have been plenty of rescues, and when people don't know what they're doing, primarily getting out in the river on slippery rocks next to a waterfall, it's a horrible idea.
Yes.
And people have died up there, and it's a responsibility that we hold dear every day, because we want people to have fun, but certainly stay safe.
Well, nature is a wonderfully powerful and beautiful thing, and one must use caution, right?
There's another thing where it's a beautiful and powerful thing, and it's the new population, the growing population of black bear up in the Little River Canyon area.
Wow. And somebody's counting them?
Yeah, Auburn University and wildlife experts are working with our staff, and they'll go out and they'll capture bear and tag them, weigh them, measure them, add radio telemetry devices.
Oh, nice.
And it's really important research, but it's certainly showing that it's a growing population. And for folks who are from North Carolina or Western Massachusetts, or you probably up in Connecticut, John, these bear populations have been something you really need to think about. And bird feeders are no longer the great, you really don't feed your dog outside anymore. I mean, this is something that the Fort Payne area and that area is becoming aware of, and our staff, Beth Sewell in particular, is doing bear talks on a regular basis, and making sure the kids understand how cool they are, how important they are, but also how we need to change our own behaviors in order to live together.
Bears are generally peaceful creatures. They're not prone to just attack, are they? I mean, unless you provoke.
Absolutely right, and they are so solitary. With this radio telemetry device, you'll see they will go miles and miles and miles and miles to avoid crossing a road. And so they are hidden and out of mind, out of sight. But as the population increases, their interest in food will increase, and that's what we're preparing for.
Well, we have bears down here too, don't we, Falon? We've
We
had some
do.
bear sightings in Calhoun
Yeah.
County.
We're usually good for 1 or 2 a year, where they'll show up in Alexandria. Usually it's Alexandria and Ohatchee.
Well, why not? It's a nice area.
It is.
My brother-in-law in Western
Valley
Massachusetts.
Cubs.
Yep, there.
Yeah.
Valley Cubs.
My brother-in-law up in Western Massachusetts has seen bear and porcupine and weird things we don't have awful lot of down here. But he told me one story about a bear carrying a German Shepherd in the air downtown. And
Oh, my goodness.
so we're not there yet, but we do need to be thinking about the future, and like I say, living harmoniously.
Living hermit. Now, bears it's still not legal to hunt bear
No.
here in Alabama anyway, right?
You know, and that's the danger when we have interactions with bears. It's usually not the danger to the public. We're trying to get the bear out of the way.
Yeah.
Because a handful of years ago, we had one that was making its way across the county, and everyone was calling, and it made it to Cleburne County before someone shot it.
Oh,
And went to jail.
yes, as they should have. As they should have.
The state monitors those populations, and when there's time for a season, there will be a season, but
Sure.
it's not anytime near future.
Well, the coyote population is increasing, the bear population. We have eagles at Gunnersville, but you were talking about the poisonous water plants there.
Well, it's some new research that's showing there is an association between hydrilla, an aquatic plant, and a particular bacterium that can go through the cycle and get top predators. And it's nothing is simple, and everything's complicated, but that was just one more complication that I learned about yesterday.
Wow.
We had a group of scientists at the Canyon Center. Actually, they've been there Saturday, Sunday, yesterday and today. And these are University of Alabama aquatic biologists, but they've invited in scientists from all over the nation. So we hosted this wonderful group last night that are up there doing stream sampling in every way possible. And our goal is to engage school kids in some of the research so that when the kids come to the canyon on school field trips, they can take the data themselves, and that data is entered into a serious national database, and they actually would have done something by learning how to do that. And our goal, of course, is to grow a new generation of scientists that care about the environment and ecology, and the group yesterday is doing a good job of that.
Outstanding. Always thinking about education at the Little River Canyon and Jacksonville State University. Thank you, Pete, for being on the show.
Thanks
we
for
could have
having
you
me.
again and talk more about Little River Canyon and all the stuff that's going on. But right now, we're going to have our Crime Stoppers portion of the show, and then stay tuned for our Crazy Criminal here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. And welcome to the Crime Stoppers portion of our show, where we need your help on this case between June 4th and June 5th. A 2000 white Ford F-250 and a 1985 Chevrolet K10 were stolen from a dealership on Highway 431 in Alexandria. And if you know anything about this case, please give us a call at Crime Stoppers. That number 1-833-251-7867.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
Falon, you know what time it is?
It's crazy criminal time.
Crazy criminal time. So tell us all about it.
This time it comes from our police friends in the United Kingdom, the British police.
Look at that, a digital person.
Yes, well, that's even better than that. The British police tried to stop a car for driving recklessly and were led on a 35-mile, I don't know what that converts to in kilometers, pursuit. At the end, they ended up finding all this marijuana and were presented a driver's license from the driver who obtained the license from Legoland when he was a toddler.
Oh,
Which,
Legoland
shockingly,
driving
is not a valid driver's license
That's
in the United
amazing.
Kingdom. May work for some states here, but not in the United Kingdom.
Most likely California.
Yes,
Driving the Legoland driving school.
yes.
So that digital would be covering the face of a 5-year-old
Yep, I assume, or a Lego man.
or a Lego man. Well, of course, the British would be used to handling funny things like that.
Yes.
They do. The Queen's having lunch with Paddington Bear. I guess you can have a Legoland driver
Yep, you can. It's good for some probation or jail time, I guess,
in Legoland.
in
The
Lego.
little Lego jails.
Very easy jails to break out of.
Indeed. Well, Falon, it's good to have you on the show, and we'll see you again, I'm sure. And we will see you all again next week here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted, but hopefully not in the lineup.